Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is
Hello.
Caitlin and I'm here with Izzy again. And this is the Paint, Paper and Pellets podcast.
Yes.
And today we wanted to talk a little bit about giving and receiving advice. But before we get into the topic, Izzy, how was your week?
Oh my god, my week. My week was super chaotic. All the paints for the pre-orders are done, so now I'm just focused on packing. And I promised everyone who pre-ordered the whole set to get a surprise gift, but the surprise gift is still drying.
Ah, yeah,
So
so you.
so I'm packing, but I keep them open so at the last minute I can just add all the surprise
Yeah, yeah.
paints in it. And then I seal them closed. But yeah, it's very chaotic. The
It,
studio is a mess.
it's always the worst when you want to give people like a surprise gift and you've
Mm.
said online that they will get
Mm.
something and then you forgot to put it into the package. I've had that like a couple of times.
Me
That
too.
yeah. And it's so awkward. And sometimes you think like, oh man, did I forget to put the gift in the package? And then I open
Hmm.
the package.
And then you read, and you exactly you have to open the package again, and then realize, oh yeah, I put it in there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now I opened it, and now it's not pretty anymore. I got to do it all over again.
Yeah. It's a hassle.
So it was good. It's chaotic, but it's fine.
Yeah. I had a lot of things planned for like last week. But I didn't do very much because I kept procrastinating things and then I had to do my YouTube video on Friday. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I don't want to do my YouTube video. I think I'm just going to skip this week and make one for next week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom was like, no, you have to do your YouTube video. So I did my YouTube video on Friday. And then on Saturday, I went to Eindhoven to draw in cafes. And that's about all I did. Like today, did nothing. Yesterday, I did nothing.
Well, that's also nice to do nothing.
Yeah, it was necessary to take some rest.
Good. Good. Recharge everything. Your soul, your body. Have
Okay.
some nice food. Also, can we talk about our first podcast that is online?
Yeah, of course. So
That
our
is
first podcast
awesome.
just aired last week, and we were in the premiere. So we will probably be in, maybe not in all premieres, but in a lot of premieres we will be. So if
Hmm.
you want to chat along with us while you listen to the podcast, it will be every second week on Wednesday in the evening.
Yes, I
And
really enjoyed it.
yeah, it was very nice. And I think like the reactions that we've gotten so far is just so nice. There was
Hmm.
such a positive reaction and I felt like people were really enjoying it. So
Hmm.
it was great.
I
And
really
it
got some such sweet DMs of people who have been listening. And then the first sentence is always like, "Oh, I just listened to your podcast." I'm like, "Oh God, what do they think? Here we go." And then there's this whole text, and I'm like, "Oh, I hope it's good. I hope it's good."
yeah, yeah.
And then you're finished reading, and you're like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, they're so kind.
They're so sweet. I love it. So thank you,
And
thank you, thank
and
you.
we definitely thought there would be like less of a response because it was the very first one.
Yeah,
But yeah, it hasn't been too bad. We are very happy with it.
we are extremely happy. So let's
So
make
thank
this
you
one
guys
just
for
as
listening.
enjoyable. Yay! Thank you.
All right, shall we get into the topic?
Yes, let's go.
So, giving and receiving advice.
Yeah.
We are probably going to talk about art advice, not any other advice.
No.
Is there, let's start with like a funny story or something. Do you have like some terrible advice? And hopefully it was a funny story.
Ooh. It was not a funny story, actually.
Ah, well, that's it. You can still tell us.
Yeah, sure. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice that I put a lot of my like personal life in the stories
Mm-hmm.
because I like to share things. And whenever I am like somewhere, for example, a budget store, and I see watercolors or anything art related, I grab my phone. I'm like, oh, this is fun, blah blah blah, and then I um,
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it a little bit, or I show the birds or my plants and what I'm doing, and it's my way of not feeling like a business, to
Yeah,
other
make it a little
people.
personal.
Make it a little personal, and I like it. I like to do the blah blah blah. Everybody knows that. But then I get so sometimes I would get unsolicited advice of and not random strangers on the internet, and they're not even
Hmm.
like we have my following, and then we have this close community of followers where
Yeah.
you talk to people you talk to a lot. But this was just a random follower, and they were like, you should not uh, put your personal life on stories or on Instagram. You are a business, you are a serious business, you should only be focused your content on your business. If you don't do that, you will fail at your business. And I thought that was one, freaking hilarious. Because I feel I like to watch other paint makers or other businesses when they are a little bit personal, because I feel like I know them and they're my friends, and then
Yeah.
I'm I'm quicker to buy from them,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah,
than.
definitely. I really like when people are a little bit personal online, because then it's not only the art, but I also feel like I get to know the person who's
Yeah.
after the art. This is actually funny because I didn't even think about this when I was like writing out ideas for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually, there was someone who also wanted to become an artist, and they said to me like, "Oh yeah, I really think that it's quite shameful that people put their self online, and it's almost like begging for people to give attention to your art." And
Shameful.
yeah, so they were like, "You should feel ashamed that you are like." Um, Tricking people into thinking that they're your friends, so they buy from your art, like, and this person knew that I was trying to get my YouTube channel off the ground, and that I show myself a lot on on my social medias. So it was, and I don't think they meant bad with it towards me. I just think they were like not really thinking about what they were saying, and I truly believe they didn't mean anything bad, but it was just like I felt like they were talking as if I was doing a bad thing, as
Yeah.
if I'm begging people to, is as if I'm pretending to be people's friend so they will buy from me. So that's kind of like not exactly the same, but kind of related.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because when I make stories and I do a lot of blah blah blah, I
Hmm.
really feel like I'm talking to friends,
Yeah.
because there are friends who are watching. There are also strangers who are watching, but the feeling that I have is that I'm talking to a friend. So
Hmm.
it's not a trick, and that's I'm triggered now because because they use the word trick. It's not a trick.
Yeah, and also they maybe felt like they wanted people to follow them for their art, and they kind of felt like it was a bad thing if people follow you for your personality instead of your art. Well, most of the time it's probably like a combination of the two. Like if I follow someone and I really like their personality but I don't like their art, I'm probably still not going to follow them unless they're like good friends of mine. But
Oh, with me it's the other way around.
I need to like both. I need to like the art and I need to like the personality. If I like the art but I hate the personality, I probably will also not follow them.
Oh yeah, but okay, yeah, that's more art related. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then yes, then both. But I do on my personal account, I
Hmm.
do follow some people that I like as a person. But then they sell like I don't know, vitamins or something. I don't know. I'm not interested in that, but I
Hmm.
still follow them because I like their content and I like their personality.
Yeah.
But I've no interest in the product. And I think it's the same with, for example, paint making accounts, is that a lot of these shimmer paint makers make these beautiful videos and these beautiful reels where it's just so satisfying to watch them mix the pigments, and then the way the shimmers play with the light. And some reels are just so satisfying. And I know they have a lot of followers that are not interested in paint. They just want to be satisfied with the content they create.
Yeah.
I see a lot of comments where I'm not even an artist and I'm not even interested in paint, but this is so satisfying.
Yeah.
I get that. And I'm like, so yeah, it's maybe a bit of both.
Yeah. I do also follow people just because I like them and I want to support them. But it's probably not that quick if I just find a random person on the internet and I
Yeah.
like their personality and I don't like their art, I'll probably not follow them.
Yeah.
But if it's like somebody that I've connected with somehow, then I definitely would also just follow them to support them.
Yeah, me too. It's the same with YouTubers. Like, I could super like your content and it's super interesting, but if you're gonna drop merch, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, so that could be it.
Yeah.
I thought about this, like, what is the worst advice? And actually, found it really hard to think about what is the worst advice that I've ever
Mm-hmm.
gotten. I mainly want to deeply scream at all the adults in my life that
Hold
have
up.
that have told me as a kid that I couldn't do art.
Scream. You can scream now.
I won't scream at you. I want to scream at all the adults in my life, and I think I've given my parents quite a handful already. I've like there was this one time that my mother said, "Yeah, I think we did a fairly good job," and I was like,
Hold
"Hold
up.
up, I don't agree with this. You told me this and this. You told me that I couldn't be an artist. You told me that I couldn't make any money of it, that there weren't any jobs." And then she was like, "Yeah, but in the end, it was your own choice that you didn't do art." And I'm like, "Yeah, my own choice as a
Wait,
12-year
what?
old. Me, as a 12-year old, decided that I should be an accountant instead of an artist, even though I drew every day."
That is such a thing parents say. It's either they don't remember saying that, or you just think that it's like gaslighting. You just think that way. That was never the case. That never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Or exactly what you said. Well, at the end of the day, you made your own choice.
Yeah, and I do think that my mom said to me a couple of times, like, "Oh yeah, I do think that we made some mistakes, but we tried our best." And I do realize that
Yeah,
they
I get
meant
that.
they meant well, and
Yeah, they meant,
and
of
a lot of
course.
advice, even though it's wrong, might all the advice probably comes from a good place. And all the adults in my life that told me, like, "Oh, don't go into art, you can't make money with it. Oh,
Hmm.
you have no talent for it, you need to be very talentful to make money as an artist. uh oh, but you're so talented in, like, mathematics, just do something in that direction, that's safer." Like, all that advice came probably from a place where they wanted the best for me.
Yeah.
But I do feel like a lot of adults tell their children not to do art, but they're not, like, educated or up to date in how the art field currently, what it looks like.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that say you cannot make money as an artist or you cannot find a job don't actually know what kind of art jobs there are.
And I think that's what you say is true, because I also think it's a generational thing. Like, our
Yeah.
parents, the quote unquote the boomers, they only know hard work with your hands, working in
Mm-hmm.
a factory, accountant, nurse, doctor, all those jobs. If you do these fancy jobs, then you're set and we don't have to worry about you. But exactly like you say, they don't know that there are many forms of art, and the only forms they know are, the great
Yeah.
masters who got famous after they died.
Yeah. And the crazy millionaire work that's in musea at,
Exactly.
like, and although my mom, of course, started out as an artist, and well, she still is an artist, but she used to do like these big paintings that she would sell now and then. But she, now I look at it, I think she charged like 500 or 700 euros for like a big painting.
That's
And
actually
back,
quite cheap.
yeah, back then I felt like that was a lot of money, but now I look at it, I feel like that's not enough for a painting that size.
No, exactly.
Um, and I also was talking to Tom about this yesterday. That uh, if you look at what we learned at schools are jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
probably what our parents learned what are jobs, it's so
Mm-hmm.
different. And then if we look at people that are young now, like all the 10-year-olds want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
When I was 10, I mean, YouTube existed, I guess, but there weren't really a lot of people that did content creation or YouTubing for a job. So it wasn't really something that people were thinking about, oh, maybe we can do this for a living.
I think the whole YouTube, you can make a living from YouTube, really had its peak in like the 2010s,
Yeah.
when the beauty influencers made their money just for making YouTube videos, and then the vloggers started, and then the art vloggers started,
Hmm.
and now it's just so saturated with everyone trying to be a super famous YouTuber.
But you say that, but actually, that's not as true as it feels like,
Really?
because if you look at YouTube, uh, for example, a lot of people in India are just starting to get PCs. They're just starting to get on the internet. Like normal people are starting to discover YouTube. And we, of course, don't know what China is going to do in the future. Probably not YouTube very soon. But
No.
there are a lot of countries that haven't discovered like the normal life we can see YouTube every day yet. And this is going to be something very interesting because that means a lot of new people are coming on the internet.
I
They
never
will
thought of
bring
that.
they will bring like new cultures too, and they will make their own content with their own influences, which is going to be awesome. But it's also another market that can watch our videos. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
actually
true.
not true that it's too saturated because there are even more people that aren't even there yet on the internet that can also find you. So
I
it's
never
actually
thought
not,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, this was, I was like listening to a podcast. I think the podcast was Sketchbook by the artist Cash.
Mm-hmm.
And he is an Indian artist, and he's like, he talks a lot about the culture there, and that it's still really growing, even though we in the Netherlands are used to everybody having internet at all times a day. It's something like with a growing economy, it's still coming up, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, so like they went from going to a communal internet
Cafe, probably.
cafe. Thank you, internet cafe. They now have internet access at home.
Yeah, starting to get
Ah,
more
okay,
normal.
okay, okay, okay. So that's starting to get more normal. Yeah, that makes more sense. So it will be a new crowd of viewers, but it will also be new people who are creating content.
And I don't know how much YouTube you watch, but I definitely get like recommended a lot of the same creators. And if I really try to find new creators, it's sometimes quite difficult.
Yeah,
And
but that's your algorithm, right? In your
yeah, that's
recommended section. Yeah,
that's probably also the algorithm.
yeah, that's the algorithm.
But that also, I hope that means there's room for creators to figure out their own things, to do new things. But that might just be the algorithm trying to let me watch the same people over and over again.
I think it's the algorithm. Uh, because and that is actually a discussion I had with Ben. No, not a discussion, just a conversation. It was my recommended list on my YouTube has maybe 80% of the videos are from channels I'm already subscribed to. And
Yeah.
I told him if I want to watch something new, if I want to watch someone new, but that makes the same content that I'm interested in, but it is a channel that I've never heard of before, doesn't it make more sense that the recommended section of YouTube is not showing the people you already subscribe to? Doesn't that make more sense?
I guess there should also be like maybe you have your browse function where you see an overview of like new videos and stuff, or maybe videos that you haven't watched yet. But there should also be like a discover channel, but not the like discover channel that YouTube currently has, because that only shows me like Dutch vloggers.
Yeah, me too. That's so annoying.
that
That's not
they
what I'm looking for.
and it's like focused at 12-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm at home, just the home tab, then that is basically my recommended
Yeah,
feed.
and it shows you mainly the YouTubers that you
And
already
it shows
follow.
me mainly the YouTubers that I'm already subscribed to, mainly. And then you got your shorts, and then you got all your videos that you're subscribed to. But if you go to the explore thing and you push trending, then I only get
It's not even focused at you anymore. It's just
no.
random.
It's
No.
it's random. I see football. I see some police. I see really weird vloggers. I
Yeah.
I have no clue what this is.
I actually would like it if there were like a browse or explore page, more like the explore page on Instagram,
Yeah.
that is focused towards you, but it's like all kinds of new people and not the people that you already follow. That would be a good idea, actually. YouTube, we as YouTubers, we as people sitting here, we would really like that. Would be great if you could listen to this.
Yes, and I hope you will not make a podcast and that this is really bad advice, because this is really good advice.
Yeah, talking about advice, we probably should get back into the
Back on
topic.
topic.
Yeah, it was a little bit too long of a side road. We've talked about the worst advice that we've gotten.
Yes.
What about the best advice?
So the best advice I've gotten was from my cousin. She is in, like, her job is to advise
Mm-hmm.
big businesses on their future plans. So I told her that I was going to quit my job and I wanted to focus on paint making and my business, but how am I going to do that? And then one evening we just sat down and she asked me, like, if you can look 5 years into the future, just and you're just focusing on your small business, what would you like to see? And then um, I told her about the idea I had of, like, having uh, a little store, like a physical store,
Mm-hmm.
where I can sell my products and other art materials and art materials of other small businesses.
Yeah.
Not only the big brands, and a place where people can come in and hire art materials before they buy them. And that whole idea, if you write it down or at least visualize it, maybe go on Pinterest and, like, create a board of everything that you envision yourself doing in that store 5 years from now, that is the best advice that I got. Because
Mm-hmm.
when times are bad, when there are weeks where I do not get any orders, I think of that dream of what I want to do 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And that gives me the motivation again to, make sure I do get those sales and remind people again that this paint or that paint or whatever, this product is in my store. Remind them again, because the Instagram algorithm sucks. So maybe 80% of your people didn't even see it.
Yeah. It's
And I
really
think
nice for keeping you on track.
it's really, really nice. And when times get bad and I think of it, it's just, okay, let's just go at it, let's push it again. And then before you know it, maybe a couple of days later, there's another order, or you have a new follower who falls in love with your product and
Mm-hmm.
then buys a lot of stuff, and it's like, wow, it works. Even if it's just one order, that's just perfect.
I really like that you have this clear dream of where you're like going. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just working randomly. And I've been thinking about what maybe I would like. Uh, but for me, it's like really unclear. I don't know if I want to make a comic, or like I do know that I want to make a comic, but I don't know if I want to be a comic artist. I don't know if I want to uh, like grow my web shop a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
so for me it's like I've been thinking about, because a lot of people say like make the 5 year plan, think about what you want to be in 5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really hard for
But it's
me.
okay if you don't know. You can make it a 10-year plan too,
Hmm.
as long as you have like this dot on the horizon so that you don't go completely off track.
Yeah, I for now I just know that I want to do art,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to figure out what to do with it somehow.
Yeah, and you say you wanted to make a comic, but you don't know if you want to be a comic artist. But aren't those two separate things?
Yeah, so a lot of comics that I follow, if I look at the work that goes into making a comic like that, that's a full job, and
Yeah,
that's a full-time job for multiple years.
yeah.
And I have a dream of making a comic, but if I want to make a comic that looks like those comics, I will either have to sacrifice the quality of the work to make it less work, or I'll have to make the story a lot shorter, which is also a valid option. Um, because, or I'll have to take way longer to finish it, because for me, it's not really. I don't see myself working full time as a comic artist anytime soon, because that sounds draining, and I don't know if I
Mm,
can handle that. And
okay,
I
I get
don't
it.
even know if that sounds like fun. That doesn't really sound like fun, like working for years and years only on your comic.
I
Anyways,
get
I
it.
feel like we're getting quite far off topic. Uh, comic Being a comic artist is like I'm not even sure. That's mainly the reason why I'm thinking about maybe going back to art school, is to figure out what I want to do with my art.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Currently, I'm just like trying things, trying to keep making art, trying to keep doing stuff.
Yeah, just yeah. Keep busy. Don't give up.
But it's really hard without a goal. And I think that thinking to yourself, what are the goals that I have in mind, and keeping them visible to you really
Mm-hmm.
helps you with moving forward and staying like on track. And the fact that I don't have that right now is a little bit difficult.
Yeah, but you will figure it out.
So my best advice that I've gotten um, is a little bit simpler, because it's just like purely art related.
Okay.
And I've gotten this advice twice in my life. The
Oh
first
wow.
first time was, well, I was in Finland. I had a drawing teacher there, and uh, she told me like she hated pencils. So
I hate pencils too.
if you draw something, you had to do it in pen.
Oh, even the sketch?
Yeah, because
Oh.
you like she said that erasing held artists back. And if you draw in pen, you get more confident. And also, she personally just really liked the sketch lines if they were still part of the finished painting.
Oh
So
wow.
she really liked if people sketched in pen and then worked in paint over it, and then you can still see the pen lines underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think I didn't fully understand what sketching in pen would teach me back then, because I was like 11 or something. But then I wanted to go to art school, and I went to a portfolio day. And one of the teachers was like, okay, I can see from your pencil sketches that you are trying to make things perfect. And you're like erasing all over again and then starting over. And that's why you can never move on to the next piece. And your lines are not confident, because you keep trying to get the perfect line. You like, if you just sketch with a pen, and you cannot erase anything. You'll have to learn to accept that the lines will be permanent. So you just put down the line and that's it. You won't touch it anymore because you cannot fix it anyways.
Oh,
And that was really difficult. Like learning to
yeah, I can
sketch in
imagine.
pen was so difficult, but it's definitely the best thing I've ever done for getting better in drawing.
Interesting. I never thought of that, but it actually makes sense because if you have the option to erase, you will always like just do something because I can erase it anyway.
Yeah, and you'll also keep questioning your lines that are already on your page.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you, in the end, if you make a mistake that is so bad that you don't want to continue the drawing, your only option is to start a new drawing, and you'll have to put extra care in not making that mistake again. Because if you make the mistake again, you'll have to start another drawing. So it really teaches you to be more confident with your lines because it doesn't look good if you have like lines, scribbly lines over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it also really teaches you to like learn from your mistakes and take it to the next drawing to do better. So that
Interesting.
was so good for me.
I like that advice.
And also
Maybe I'm gonna put it to the test.
it helped me with filling up sketchbooks because I couldn't erase anything, so I wasn't stuck too long on one page.
You just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that idea.
And now sometimes I do think there are some things that make working with a pencil like better. I don't feel like this artist from Finland that pencils are like the worst and you should never use them. I certainly do feel like they have their own qualities that can be really great, but I'm not too much a fan of using my eraser a lot anymore.
But do you still sketch in pencil?
Now and then, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I sketch mostly in pen, and I also like to sketch in colored pencil. You
Mm-hmm.
can't really erase colored pencil anyways,
No.
but I do like the line quality a pencil gives.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that before. Maybe I should try it myself.
Yeah, because you're not that much of a sketcher, right? You mostly paint.
I mostly paint, but today I tried something new. We went to the zoo and I took my sketchbook with me because I remembered a story you told me last time we recorded the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is about like this artist who gave herself 5 minutes of sketching what she saw, like in real life,
Yeah,
and just maximum 5 minutes, and that's it. So today, because they're animals,
yeah,
they don't stand still. So we first started with the penguins and the puffins. Oh my god, they're so cute.
yeah. They are adorable.
Puffins are adorable, and they were swimming underwater, and then it's so funny to see because they flap their wings
Mm-hmm.
underwater, and you can really see them up and down, up and down, up and
Ah.
down. So I took my sketchbook out, and I'm gonna show you. I took my sketchbook out, and this was the very first time I'm trying to sketch a puffin, and because I'm a painter, I am used to sketching lightly and then erase and all that good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and then go back in and then erase and go back in and go erase. But when I did the exercise, I didn't have the time for it, so my
Yeah.
lines are like, if you can see it, my lines are super wonky.
Okay, I can't see it at all because my screen is like really, really pixelated.
Bright. Oh.
I just see that you're holding a book. But for the
Okay,
people
so
on YouTube, and while I'm editing this, I'll probably
yeah,
be
you
able
will
to
see
delete it.
it. You will definitely see it. And then at first, it was the very first sketch I did, and I was like, "Oh, this is so hard." But okay, I'm gonna continue. And then I I saw a little red panda,
Oh,
and it
they're
was
so cute.
all they were all curled because it was cold and windy. Now it wasn't cold, but it was very windy today,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in a tree, all curled up around their tail, and then putting their little nose in their
Oh.
tail, and they look like a super round fluff ball. And then I sketched one, and this one has actual potential.
Ooh.
So
I
I
can
don't know
see
if you
it
can
like
see.
faintly. I just have to like also for the people listening on Spotify or on Google
Yeah,
Podcasts, like they have to imagine how cute it is, just like I have to imagine it right now,
yeah.
and
I
I
will
cannot
send
see
you.
it.
I will send you a picture. Maybe you can edit in
Yeah,
the video. And if you are listening on Spotify, if you go follow us on Instagram, these things usually also will be uploaded.
yeah. Izzy uploads a lot in his stories, so
I
you should
upload
you
a
should
lot in my stories. But
check
yeah, this
out
is
all the
my
sketches there.
this was my very first time like sketching even in public, because I'm always, somehow I'm always scared that someone will stand behind me and be like silently judging me. So I'm very I don't know.
You
I'm
get
not comfortable.
self-conscious.
Yeah, I get very self-conscious when I sketch in public, but today it was the zoo. It was very relaxed, and I was just so happy to see the animals, and I just stood there and with my pencil and sketched, and sometimes people stood behind me or looked, and I actually didn't care today, so it's
Yeah.
yay
And
for me.
if you're like sketching on location and you're at a place where a lot of children are, it's usually not that bad because children love when you're drawing. They will not
Yeah,
judge your art.
they will definitely not judge you.
Well, they might be like quite rude about your art, but they will most likely like that you're drawing and be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So I sometimes draw in Naturalis, which is like a natural historic
Oh, I love
museum.
it.
And
Mm-hmm.
there are always a lot of children. So whenever I'm drawing there, like the children with their parents will stop and will look and will be like, "Oh, are you an artist?"
Are you an artist? Yes, I am.
I am an artist.
Without shame, I am an artist. Yes.
Yeah, and then if I'm in a place where I feel like really self-conscious and I don't want people to come up to me, sometimes I put on my headphones because if you're wearing
Yeah.
headphones, people won't talk to you.
It's like the this generation uh sign that everybody around the world understand. If I'm wearing headphones, don't talk to me.
Yeah,
I love it. It's awesome.
but that's great. I actually also think that like giving yourself a time limit to do a sketch or to do a painting is great advice. Um,
Yeah.
I think there is like a saying that says 20% of the work decides 80% of the outcome. Like the first 20% that you put into a piece is like
Hmm.
will that's the foundation, your first sketch. And
Yes.
yeah, and then all the detail and like finish work you do after that, you can spend like so much time, but it actually won't matter that much for the outcome.
Yeah, but that's just the thing. Like I agree with you that the 20%, but when I look at my sketches I did today,
Hmm.
and I only gave myself 5 minutes, I'm like, how am I going to make something of this? Because this is ugly. But it's also my first time trying this, and I am not going to be that hard on myself.
Yeah, and if you're just like if you practice your foundation, like the
Yeah,
first quick sketches, and those
yeah,
get better, it will get easier and easier to then take something and make it into a finished piece. Because you
exactly.
definitely shouldn't look at those 5 minute sketches and feel like they should be finished artworks, because you
No,
cannot
but
do that in 5 minutes.
but the thing is, when I look at other people's 5 minute sketches, I'm always like, "Whoa, this is so pretty already, and it's so cool." And then I look at my own, and it's like, "Ugh." But I think every
But
artist has that.
you haven't seen their first 5 minute sketches.
No, exactly. Plus, sometimes I think they upload like, "Oh, this is my 5 minutes sketch challenge," but then actually maybe they spent a half an hour on it.
Yeah, maybe, or they filmed like the first three 5 minute sketches and only uploaded the pretty one. And then you feel bad about your worst ones.
See, also that.
Yeah.
Like I would upload the red panda, but I would not upload the puffin.
I can't see the puffin, but I'm sure it's great too.
Oh, thank you.
So there was something else that I was thinking about for the what we wanted to talk about in this podcast is, do you have any tips for giving advice and receiving advice?
Ooh.
Because I think there is definitely a right and a wrong way to give and receive advice. Uh, One for receiving advice, like I used to be very hard in receiving advice because I would always disagree with the person that gave me advice.
Yeah,
And
me too.
well, sometimes you are right. I definitely feel like if I don't agree with someone giving me advice, I am right.
Me
You
too.
don't always have to explain that to the person giving you advice,
No.
because most likely they are coming from a good place and they truly want to help you. And even though you might not like the advice they are giving you, I think it's always wise to listen to it. Don't disagree immediately. Just think about it, and then you can disagree. Like
Yes.
just think about it, let it sit for a while. Is it really that bad of an advice? And if it is, because that's really truly possible, that is just bad advice, then you can still ignore it. But if you're
Yeah.
gonna fight the person that gives you advice, it most likely will lead to like uh, a rough place in your friendship.
If the person giving advice is a friend.
Yeah.
Like
Or a
that's
bad
the thing
grade if it's
too.
your art teacher.
Ugh, our teachers. No, but if it's like a random stranger, it's easier for me to either ignore them or just be like, okay, thank you, and then
Mhm,
that's it. But yeah, if it's a friend, it's but if it's a friend, and that's also the thing about giving advice.
mhm,
My number one tip would be don't give unsolicited advice. Like if it's not asked, don't give your advice. Of course, you can give your opinion. That's a totally different thing. But don't start a DM as a reaction on a story that you should do this because that, and then send links. And then that happened to me once. Someone was giving me unsolicited advice, and then they sent me links to
mhm.
other products, but the links they sent me were their affiliate links.
Ah.
That was
Mm.
some, and oh, that
Oh,
really
that's
triggered me.
interesting.
That was like, what the f are you doing?
You
First you're gonna tell me I was wrong, then giving me all these links that are affiliate links.
Oh, imagine me commenting on other artists on that sketchbook that you're using is terrible. You should use this sketchbook instead, and then
Here's an affiliate link.
send them my affiliate link to like
Yeah,
Splendid.
yeah, to Splendid. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, please. So don't do that. And if you want to give advice because you really feel like you are helping a person because maybe this person doesn't know and you have like the golden tip of everything, please ask them first if they would like your advice,
Hmm.
and also explain to them. Like for me, when I give someone advice, I'm always like very careful. Like, hey, maybe you notice already, so forgive me if you notice already. Um, but this and that and blah blah blah. That's coming across a whole lot different
Hmm.
than, hey, you should do this and that because what you're doing now is wrong.
Yeah.
It's also the way you give your advice. Don't be like in your face, but some people are very sensitive about receiving advice, exactly that, especially if it's unsolicited. um, I'm not super triggered by unsolicited advice, but it depends how it comes across.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
if you really make it clear like you just want to help and don't send affiliate links, uh, then it's definitely fine.
I think it's always great to remember both as the person giving advice and the person receiving advice, that
Mm,
it's just that it's advice. It's not
yeah.
something that someone has to change.
No.
It's not like they have to do this, otherwise they'll fail as an
Be-
artist and can never draw again.
exactly.
It's advice, and if you like keep that in mind, it's yeah. And I think that sometimes is a little bit tricky. Like you get the feeling like somebody is telling you what you have to do, but you don't have to do it. You can just ignore it.
You can just ignore it and think about it and then make your own choice and don't feel like they are making the choice for you. Actually, I do have a funny story.
All right.
I'm already laughing. So when I first started out, um, I for people who don't know, I make vegan paints. So my paints are vegan based on my binder. So there are no
Hmm.
animal products in my binder. Um, and the pigments are not animal based either. But when I first started out, I wanted to be, green and help the environment and less plastic, blah, blah, blah. So I made paint in my half pans. I made dot cards on recycled paper. And I poured paint in shells,
Yeah,
in
I still have
seashells.
some of them.
Oh, that's cute. I poured the paint in seashells. And I was like, this is eco friendly, biodegradable, this is awesome, blah, blah. And then someone DM'd me, unsolicited, DM'd me. How can you call yourself a vegan paint maker when you're using shells? And I was like, I was ready to, because I felt attacked. I was
Hmm.
just starting out. I felt attacked and I was ready to give them a peace of mind. Like, shells, these are shells that naturally washed up on shore. The animal is not living in it anymore, blah, 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 blah. And I was ready to fight back.
Hmm.
Until I didn't, and I actually thought about it, and I asked some people. I'm like, isn't it maybe weird that aren't shells made by the animal? Isn't so technically? Isn't it from an animal? So basically, how can
Yeah.
I sell this if I'm making vegan paints? And then I really, really thought about it. And I'm like, this is really stupid. Why am I pouring them in shells? This person is right.
Yeah, if you really want to be able to sell it to vegans who
I
not
should not.
only don't eat like the animal products, but they also don't want to use leather, they also don't want to, yeah,
Exactly.
then they wouldn't want to use shells because it's still a product
And
that,
the
yeah.
weird thing is, I use synthetic ox gall in my binder in my paints,
Hmm.
which causes the water tension to be different than natural water. So your pigments will actually flow on your paper. That is what the synthetic ox gall does.
Yeah.
I go out of my way to get the synthetic ox gall because it's quite expensive. It's like maybe 7 times more expensive than natural ox gall.
Yeah.
And then I do all that, not use honey, use vegetable glycerin, and then I pour them into shells. What am I doing?
So that was actually really good
So
advice.
it was actually really good advice, but the way it came across is like, I'm being attacked.
Yeah, that's actually something I was also talking about to Tom. Like, sometimes it's really hard to take good advice out of something that's really badly worded. Because
Yeah,
how I feel like somebody was saying to you, how can you call yourself a vegan artist? And that might feel like really hard because you're trying your best to be a vegan paint
exactly. I
maker
was really trying my best.
and you didn't see yet what was wrong, even though in their eyes it was very obvious
Yeah,
that you were doing something wrong. And then it's
yeah,
like really good that you still got to take the good advice, even though it was like really badly worded.
yeah. It was super badly worded, but they did. They made sure that I think I never replied to them because the way it was worded, I was like, "Pff, whatever."
Yeah.
It was like 3 years ago, but they were right. So if you are watching slash listening, you were right.
That's quite funny.
That is super funny. But now, it's I also got other DMs with advice regarding the vegan stuff. I shared a story about my personal life, and I think I was making adobo, which is a Filipino dish made with pork.
Yeah.
Um in my slow cooker, and it was so good. I shared it. And then someone got triggered because I create vegan paint, but I'm not vegan myself.
Yeah. So they
So,
were angry. Yeah.
therefore, they were angry. Therefore, my paints are not vegan. And that is something that also got me triggered and really made me worried. Not that I was turning vegan or anything, but maybe I should not call it vegan paint anymore. But actually, I thought about it, and that is not true
No.
because it says something about my products, not about my brand.
Yeah.
My brand is not vegan. My products are.
Definitely. And I feel like you can make a lot of choices in your life, and by making vegan paints you're trying to keep your paints like usable for everyone. You're
For
keeping it
everyone.
keeping it cruelty free.
Yeah.
um, and you can choose not to use animals in certain parts of your life
Yes.
and still eat meat.
And still
I,
eat meat.
I get that a lot of vegans are really angry for the fact that people eat meat,
Yeah. And I
and
get that.
and I get that, but like you eating meat doesn't mean that your paints are not vegan anymore.
Exactly. But because they were saying that, it made me doubt everything about my brand.
Yeah.
And that was actually making me more nervous because that one person, that random time with that random DM, had a huge impact uh, on every choice I make. Because
Yeah.
now, for example, now I'm actually thinking about this year. I want to, experiment more with different kinds of paints. Um, that also includes like carmine, which is made of bugs.
Yeah.
And I also want to try sepia, which is made of cuttlefish ink. Um, and of course, those will not be labeled vegan. And I want to make that very clear on my website also that these are not vegan, and the
Hmm.
others are. Um, but yeah, it's just. And then that comment of 3 years ago pops back into my head. Your products are not vegan because you're not vegan. I'm like, oh
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like how just a single comment about your work can make you doubt yourself over and over again.
yeah,
And it's uh, quite hard. It's definitely also worse if you actually know the person,
that it's even worse. Yeah,
because sometimes I get like advice from people that I know, and they tell me like, oh, you should do this, or oh yeah, I think it's best for you to find a job within the art world. And then I'm like, yeah, I could do that, but also I don't really want to. And then the next time I see them, they're like, oh, have you found a job in the art world already? And I'm like, yeah, we've talked about this. And then I feel like every time I see them or every time I post on social media, I'm like, oh, this person is gonna see it again and they're gonna say something
mm,
about it. I'm still not doing what they wish me to do.
that is tough because then you're like waiting for them to comment about it.
Yeah, but one
People.
more, which I think is a nice one to finish with. This is advice that Tom gave me like years before we got into a relationship. Um, we had a during Corona we had a dance group online. Like
Fun.
we would put on our Discord and have our dance YouTube tutorial in front of us, and
Oh, fun.
we had a webcam on the Discord so we could see each other dance. And
Was it
then I
recorded?
no, it's not recorded. We did not record it. And
Imagine.
so it was usually me, Tom, another friend of mine, and then sometimes a few others also would join. But it was like us three mostly, and then sometimes others. And I have a really big window in my living room,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always like close the curtains because I didn't want people to see me dance.
To see you.
And then one time I didn't close my curtains because I wanted to have the natural light inside, and it was like really nice weather, and I had opened my windows so I couldn't close the curtains. And then I was like, the whole time I was like, I feel like people are looking at me. There are people in the park, and I definitely feel like they're staring at me.
Oh yeah.
And then Tom was like, Caitlin, you care way too much about what other people think of you. You should just do whatever you like and not let a stranger that's outside on the streets change the way that you do things.
Mm-hmm.
And he is already forgotten about
He,
this.
but he is so right. But still. But he is so right. I love that advice.
And then every time I'm scared to share something, or I'm scared because my Dutch accent is terrible.
It's not terrible.
But all
People
the
should
people
stop.
on YouTube say it's
Stop.
terrible.
Stop commenting. You're not helping anyone. Jesus.
But every time I feel like scared to post something because I feel scared of what other people are going to say, I keep this advice in mind, like I shouldn't let myself stop uh, doing things because I am scared of what other people will say. I think that was a nice one to close off with.
I think that is lovely. If you are watching on YouTube and maybe you saw Caitlin and I looking down, we were actually doing our nails.
Yeah, I didn't do very much.
Oh, I finished.
You finished. I did like
Yeah.
almost half. I did like one layer on one hand. I think I need to do like 3 layers more before I'm finished. I didn't do a lot.
Yeah, I did 4 layers, I think. I'm done.
I'm not as an experienced nail painter as Izzy is.
Oh, I had a lot of fun today.
Yeah, it was a great conversation again. I've been
Yeah, it
really
was.
liking these conversations. They definitely
Me
make
too.
me think a lot and make me reflect on what I do as an artist, and also it's just great
Yeah.
company.
It's great company. We like to chat, and I also think that um, we sharing our thoughts with the world is always great.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly the whole reflecting thing. I think it's nice to talk to like-minded people about the same topic and the same passion we have, even if it's art or making. It comes from the same passion that we have for art, and I think it's great that we're sharing this.
Yeah, and I think we also would like to give people like some peace of mind when they're listening to our podcast and maybe they're unsure about certain things. We want to share our experiences and just make you feel like you're not alone on this journey. And we would really like to help you with it. So if you have questions for us, for things you want to hear us talk about, or if you have struggles that you are going through with your art journey, we would also love to hear it, and maybe we can talk about it in one of our next podcasts.
Who knows? Maybe we can do a little Q&A if we got a lot of questions.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
All right, we're gonna close it off, and we hope to see you in the next one. Thank you
Thank you
for
very
listening.
much. Bye.
Bye bye.